And here we go. We're going to go and start our first British trial. Hello, how are you? Here I am going back with this game. I really want to go continue this game because I am liking it so much. Also, you notice something weird with my voice? Yeah, I've been having trouble with my voice. I just want to put the mic on the side so that I can just... I'm feeling much better. My nose still gets stuffy, but I am much better now. But yeah, my voice. There was this one day that I almost lost my voice, that I couldn't even speak loudly. And I don't know. You notice that my voice sounds different? My voice is getting so raspy now. Well then, it's time to go on to where we left off. Last episode was a pure investigation one. We managed to finish it. Ryonosuke Naruhiro now wants to be a lawyer, a substitute lawyer, to replace his good old friend Asugi for the exchange. So we arrived at Britain, and now we're faced that in order to prove ourselves, we have to face up a trial. And here's the thing. We have no information about the trial. We know next to nothing about this crime. So we're here. Our first trial in the British courtroom on the Old Bailey. So here we are. 18th February, 10 a.m. Old Bailey, Crown Court. So this is the Crown Court of the British Empire, the Old Bailey itself. Unlike the courts of Japan, I can feel the weight of this court's history. The melancholy about this room says more than words ever would. No matter where you travel, the feeling never differs when a man's face hangs in the balance. By the way, Naruhiro, I ask you something. Yes, what is it? Your eyes are darting all around the room again, just like before. There's not much I can really do about that. Now, in Her Majesty's name, we declare the court is now in session. The trial of Cosdim Megundal will now commence. I ask this for both the prosecution and defense. Have you fully prepared your arguments? The prosecution is ready. You must be the Green Ripper of the Old Bailey. I can certainly feel a dark aura, as you really could rip someone's life. You, Japanese attorney, do you have trouble understanding English? Sorry, I just wasn't focused. I'm being asked my arguments right now, but I'm not exactly in any situation that we're ready. I like that expression of yours, Japanese boy. Trepidation, fear, unease, as you desperately stifle those emotions. You cling to your false illusion of courage to face me. It is an expression of recklessness. Quite fitting for one whose fate is already sealed. Ugh, I'm so tense. My lips are starting to feel numb. Defendant, Cosdim Megundam. Yes? You are on trial and suspected of murder. If you are declared guilty, you will be put to death. You believe in such an important trial to a Japanese man. Are you absolutely sure? I always believed that we must give opportunity to the young, you see. Even if the young in this case are two exchange students from a tiny Eastern Asia. I must have courage to boldly entrust my fate to the weak without fear. That is precisely what our proud great British Empire's chivalrous spirit is all about. Oh, this is our Mekunda. How long does celebrities truly brought men in mind? Hey, I heard that man donated 5,000 pounds to the government recently. Mommy, I wanna go play in Megundam Park. It appears a good audience supports costly in Megundam. That does help our case greatly. He really has a way with words, doesn't he? But even then, nobody else will stand alongside him as his defense. Very well, defendant. You have an admirable outlook. And now, are you all prepared as well? Sensible citizens chosen by the capital city. Oh yes, I've been long ready to hand down punishment to evil scoundrels. Allow me to dispose of their rubbish as per my master's orders. Ha! Bad luck for you guys to run into this. Oh great, don't tell me. Okay, this guy's supposed to be Irish. It's cold in here. I don't know how to do accents, okay? Oh yes, dearie, quite prepared. I'm just needing these mittens for my grandchild. Naruto, those people must be the yours. We don't have the system in Japan. Yes, indeed. In the Great British Empire courts, a verdict is decided by the judge and the 6 jurors. We just need to see later. The judge decides based purely on law. The jurors decide based on their consensus. Judgment is passed down on the defendant based on these 2 points of view. But how did the jurors render a verdict to begin with? Well, I'm sure that will naturally come to light as we proceed through this trial. Yeah, naturally. I mean, seriously, we have nothing. The armband that Asugi wore, and we only have this. But, Lord Barak von Sykes. Yes, my lord. How many years has it been since you cast aside the courtroom and your prestige with it? Is the title of Green Reaper truly worth being called prestige? But alas, I believe it has been 5 years. And yet, today you have returned to stand on the prosecutor's bench once again. Is there something you are anticipating from this trial? I will leave that to your imagination, my lord. This brooding Green Reaper fellow cast aside the core 5 years returning as a legend. Why? Why did his revival have to be today of all days? Naruto, don't hang your head like that. The court welcomes your return. Now, I must request your opening statement regarding this case. Acknowledge. As you all know, this case couldn't be more trivial. As you all know, except for Susato and me. The incident transpired 3 days ago, at around 10 p.m. The victim tries fire mortar, a bricklayer by trade. Tries fire, you said? A skilled man indeed. I heard that the bricks he fired have never broken. The victim was found dead in an omnibus mid-transit. It is believed that the cause of death is a stab wound from a large knife. Here is the autopsy report from the yard's forensic doctors. Very well, the court will accept this as evidence. Autopsy report. Crime scene photo. The There is one more. I wish to present this evidence as well. Why, this is... blood? These are stained with blood! Exactly. When the police arrived at the scene, the defendant was found wearing those very gloves at the time of the arrest. What? There was blood on Mr. Megundal's gloves? Huh. The court will accept this as crucial pieces of evidence. This is not going to look good. This is already starting to not look good. We are already facing something. Seriously? We're being driven into a corner from the very start again. Let's continue. According to the coachman's testimony, when the incident occurred, there were only 2 guests within the coach. Only 2? Clearly, one of them was the deceased bricklayer, Mr. Mortar. Never! But this is one of the first times that we are starting a court completely blind. We know next to nothing about this case. We barely just talk with the defendant. This is looking worse than any other time. When was the last time that you went to a court completely blind? Oh yeah, I remember. Spirit of Justice. And that was on the first case. Well, and the only other person was the defendant, Cosby Megundal. Huh? Yes, that is certainly rather decisive. Of lawyer bullshit and friendship, as always. Yes, that's certainly rather decisive. Do you have anything to say, defendant? Yes, of course. I truly have no memory of having done anything of the sort. Mr. Megundal. Indeed, I did ride the omnibus on the night of the murder. Whenever I ride in a coach, I always end up falling asleep. So you mean to claim that you were sleeping? The swaying of the coach put me at ease, you see, when I opened my eyes. The cold body of a stranger lay before me. It's human nature to try and help someone falling before you, don't you think? So I reached out my hands in paying no mind the blood that would stain my gloves. So that must have been when those gloves were stained. I regret to say this, but the fact that points to the celebrity's guilt did not end there. What? There's still more evidence? When the bricklayer was stabbed by the murder weapon, the moment of his death was seen by multiple witnesses. Duck! Order in the court! I don't know if even you can see it, but I think those flames have a really low frame rate. Like everything's running at a different frame rate than the flames. Or the flames are running on a different frame rate than the rest of the game. When the incident transpired, only the victim and defendant were in the coach. Not only that, but when the crime was committed, multiple witnesses were present. This is no longer just decisive. One will call this evidence lethal. I understand the situation quite well. We should first listen to the witnesses who saw the incident unfold. Yeah, as always, stuck flames, boop! Can you imagine a game made by just stuck things? As you wish. Now, bring forth the witnesses. You may begin, witnesses. State your names and occupations. Everyone calls me Beppo, yes. I work as a coachman driving an omnibus in the East End. Oscar Fairplay. I work as a bank clerk in the city. I am Adam Lady First. I'm a millionaire. I make hats for men. And if you make hats, then how the hell is that hat is constantly falling off your hat? First, allow me to verify. Around 10 p.m. 3 days ago, all of you were witnesses to the incident that transpired in the omnibus during transit. Kinda, yeah. I mean, first we have this mechanic was first introduced in Professor Layton, now it's back in here. To be fair, let's take a look at the time period. It was still on date and time that multiple witnesses in court were still common, and of course didn't follow regulations of only one witness at a time. Is that correct? Yes. Indeed. But of course. Then we shall move on. I order you to testify. Beppo, Oscar Fairplay, and Adam Lady First. Okay, some of these pun names are ridiculous. I know we're in England, but I think this game has a prestige of having more ridiculous names than Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. Spirit of Justice already had worse pun names, and now this one doesn't hide the fact that those are puns. Don't you agree? Speak the truth of what you saw during this incident. With the testimony. What we witness. Yeah, because since the first game, pun names have been a standard. This is no Ace Attorney game is no Ace Attorney game without puns. Pun names, puns. These games are really punny games. Punny. It was the last trip of the night. There were a few passengers, I remember it well. The defendant and the victim were both seated within the coach. But then, the defendant suddenly stabbed him in the gut with a knife. Yes, it was indeed stabbed in the gut. I ended up screaming in shock. I started with that scream. I stopped the horses, and well, I saw it too. Your clear testimony. You're correct. Clear is the nap. For the incident which unfolded in the omnibus was quite clearly seen quite clearly by these witnesses. Excuse me, may I ask something? What is it? It's about this testimony. To be honest, I'm having difficulty wrapping my head around how anything about it is clear. Whatever do you mean? This incident occurred within a moving omnibus, correct? Yes, surely that point has been abundantly clear by now. Then, just how exactly these two witnesses happened to see the crime unfolding? It's a moving coach. They couldn't possibly have seen what happened inside. Uh-oh. Good grief. I heard stories claiming the culture of this Oriental island was quite behind the times. It is rather incredible for you to be this ignorant of the omnibuses running through London. Huh? I have to ask, Japanese voice, have you ever boarded an omnibus? I have not. I mean, after all, we just arrived in London this morning. Very well. You will do well look upon with your own eyes the very scene of the incident. What do you mean, sir? The very scene of the incident? A horse-drawn coach is able to move. I suppose you should understand that much at least. Well, yes. For this route, we have the omnibus moved into the Old Bailey. What? The omnibus was brought here? Bailiff. Bring in the omnibus. How the hell? Courtrooms are always size changing, don't you think? They always change inside the court. The courtrooms always change in sizes. I think the one that has the worst change that made them bigger has got to be in Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. So this is the omnibus. Can't believe they brought the omnibus in. The British courts really are something else. Hello? Yes, with 2 benches mounted on the top, this coach can transport 8 passengers at most. 4 individuals can be sitting in the interior. Similarly, there are 4 seats on the roof. If London sightseeing you desire, then ride upon the roof seat of the omnibus. Any child of London will tell you this. Incidentally, with the skylight present on the roof, one may choose to peer in the interior of the coach. Well, you did stream for how much? From the skylight? Ah! So the truth finally becomes clear to you too. At the time of the incident, these 2 witnesses were seated on the roof seat of the omnibus. It was from there that they witnessed the incident within the coach. They saw it through the skylight of the omnibus. Do you understand now? It clearly shows that streaming early has its benefits. So that's what was going on. Even so, I've never heard of this scene of the crime. It'll be presented as evidence. This judge is clearly wearing a wig. The vestiges of the crime committed within the omnibus are clear. Thus, this should be presented as evidence. That is the prosecution's official stance. Sometimes you wish you had your own house, right? I also wish that sometimes. Very well. Here in its first says we shall accept the seeing as evidence. Omnibus. I can't believe it. The murder scene itself has become evidence. I know. You know, hikikomori? What does that mean? What does hikikomori means? Wow, the Great British Empire never fails to impress. By the way, we should take this chance to expand the omnibus inside and out. Cool. Now, let us still open the door and charge into the omnibus. No matter how enthusiastically you put it, it's still a crime scene. It's still awful. Oh, now that makes sense. Because I heard that word in Konosuba, mostly in the Spanish dub of it. So yeah, I never guessed what does hikikomori means, okay? You know, when was the last time we were able to fully examine 3D, to fully examine evidence in like this in great detail? Not since, I don't know, Apollo Justice. The skylight is surprisingly large. Mostly large enough to witness the entire scene, crime scene through it, I believe. I can't seem to find how to hang though, so opening the skylight from the inside of the coach must not be possible. Also laziness. This out here will be the victims, wouldn't it? That would make sense. If you look from here, it's visible through the skylight. Why would you ever plan to stop someone in a place like this? Things didn't occur in the dead of night. The only light was inside the coach, so I don't think it was possible to see outside. At any rate, it doesn't seem like this crime was very well planned. This is a poster advertising the World's Fair, which we will have in London in half a year. It depicts the design of the Crystal Tower, the symbol of the World's Fair. The Crystal Tower. Is it heard that is currently under construction? This is like the whole city is bustling with excitement before the festival. It's a poster advertising the World's Fair, which will be held in London in half a year. Well, there's the line comes coach. Well, you really can't see what's going on inside the coach from the skylight. So there was a lamp inside the coach as well. So there's no doubt that the witnesses could clearly see the crime. This is bad news. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at this sign. Look at this sign. Look at this sign. Look at this sign. Oh my god. I mean, I wish I could zoom it in, but I can't. This sign here says Phoenix Ride Omnibus. Phoenix Ride Omnibus. That's what this sign says. Seriously, this sign says Phoenix Ride Omnibus. Oh my god. This is the roof ceiling. It's just that, I don't know why. Is this something made by the translators? Because it is clear that even the translators can modify even 3D models. This is the roof scene area. It must be so much fun to experience the scenery of London streets from here. Why would anyone want to ride around London here in the dead of winter? Not to mention you're having to pay money for it. I just see your point. You could freeze both body and soul. You know, for just a moment, the image of riding atop a hearse on a cold winter night came to mind. This is beginning to sound a lot more morbid than the present horror. As for your attorney, I order you to carry out your cross-examination. As if there's anything to be anticipated from a British cross-examination by a Japanese person. My first cross-examination in a British courthouse. It's time to muster out your resolve. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Seriously, I like that there's more animations in this game than in the previous one. Seriously, is it me or does this game has more animations than Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice? Mata! As I recall, it was around 10 p.m., correct? Yeah, it shows out, yes. It was the freezing cold night, yes. But when we know there were 4 passengers, is there no mistake in that? Yes, they were all picked up from different locations, however, yes. Would it be correct to assume there were no passengers who got out at midnight? Yes, especially since, of course, this game was made by the creator of the series, who, as I might repeat, doesn't work anymore on the main games. After Apollo Justice, he's no longer doing any more Ace Attorney games, or at least the main ones. Be right back. When do I suddenly get the feeling that when there's so many people in the house, you think you hear knocking, but no, it's not a knock. Yes, as you say, someone got off, yes. So he means there wasn't anyone who ran from the omnibus into a crime occurred. Yeah, well, I'm under orders from the boss to make the trip every night. Me always wondered if there was any point in making that trip, yes. What do you mean? Shivering in the cold, I earned but 20 pence and carry out the final trip, you see. I will manage to stop at my shelter warm up pub on the way home, yes. Yes, but the big were both sitting with the coach. Mata! Did you see that from the coach skylight? Yes, when we sat on the roof, the skylight sits right at your feet. There was a lamp inside the coach, which was allowed us to see inside. Because both they were wearing hats, I was unable to make out their faces. Regardless, I have no doubt that one of them was Mr. Megalodon. What makes you so sure about that? Mr. Megalodon is, I get about quite a short stature. It would certainly be most difficult for me to mistake him for someone else. Indeed, when the horses were stopped and the coach doors were open, only the deceased victim and the defendant, ghost named Megalodon, remained inside. There is no room for argument. But then the defendant suddenly stabbed him with the gun in the nose. Mata! So you witnessed that very instant. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Baron Van Sykes. Hell, it doesn't help that when we started the case, he was holding his cape like if he were a vampire. As I said, it was aptly explained in my testimony. Or perhaps you're saying that you have a bone to pick with my horse with me, a bad cock. No, that wasn't my intention at all. Oh, good. He's completely foaming at me. Witness, I would like to hear a bit more about what you saw. Oh, my lord. You're three. What is the matter? I'm out of my mind now that everyone said their piece. I'm going with my gut here. What do you mean, sir? I always eat the rich folk, you see. I'm, I'm sure those clouds are doing shabby dealings under the stable somehow. Yeah, the old man is a culprit. Understand? You can't pull the wool over my eyes. Guilty. Huh? I don't think there's any point in waiting through this discussion any longer. Hold it! Dito for me, I was just about to say that. Well, yes, you have the duty to pass down correct judgments on everyone. Uh-oh. What in the... What on earth just happened? This appears to be the juror's verdict. Their verdict? Already? White means not guilty, black is guilty. As each juror reaches their own conclusion, the weight of the verdict is added to the scale as just seeing it is set aflame. So then, if that closest scale were to completely tip toward black, let's do our absolute best to prevent that from happening. No, I'm more nervous than ever. Let all know the juror's verdict has changed. Now, I would like for the attorney to resume his cross-examination. Of course, how incredibly frightening. Well, we surely are in a bit of a pickle. Mata! You say you saw a knife. You were looking down at the roof, sis, correct? I guess it's more so that like it's a ball, something that has that's carrying the fire or something. Yes, exactly. I was sitting on the roof to see. I recall that the man with the small frame and the victim were sitting both beside each other. I was thinking of when you had the side because I guess the city buildings, you see. And then my eyes just happened to look inside the coach from beyond the skylight. I saw the knife as it went inside the victim. What a terrifying sight. Oh no. It looks like the juror's doubts that being spurred on. Everyone seems to remarkably suspicious of the offender. We need to find something to refute that suspicion. Otherwise... Witness. Yes. The knife you saw. I presume is none other than this. Yes, it's precisely that. Could that be? Quite so. This is the same knife that was stabbed into the victim's stomach. It is rather a rather large knife. The sheath of this weapon is engraved with an initial. M, as is it is an initial I have seen elsewhere. Don't tell me. Just like Mengundal, suffice to say. His self-proclaimed London celebrity would appear to be an utter fool. Hey, Gary! Come on! But this ankle belonged to countless other individuals. Like, for example, that's right. The victim's name was Mortar. This guy has a unique objection bubble. Okay, that looked awesome. Hey, Gary. This is far too valuable for a bricklayer and poverty to own. The most likely scenario that this knife belongs to the defendant. Yes, that appears to be quite the capable reality. My lord, please excuse my rudeness. You must be your true. What is the matter? As a servant to the gentleman of the Great British Empire, I'd like to believe he's innocent. However, as a servant, I have a responsibility to accept charged realities. Wait just a moment, but we have to dispose of this filth now. No! I must apologize, but I love cleanliness after all. Hold it! I have recorded the entire conversation thus far, and I am giving it a logical appraisal. And at this very moment, I have reached my ultimate conclusion. No, not again! 4 people are already chosen guilty. Only 2 more, and then... What in the world should I do? I want to try to fish out the witness as the more skills lies against my favor. However, as we know nothing about this incident, information is what we need about all else. Then all we can do is watch as our fire burns away our time left until the guilty verdict. The chance to retaliate will arrive eventually. We must believe in that. But... Alright. At any rate, that's all I can do for now. Let me actually check this knife. This is a nice scabbard. What's the matter, Naruto? Oh, nothing. Sorry. I just get a little uncomfortable around blades. Really now. I wouldn't expect to hear that from a man carrying the mother of all blades in his hip. The katana is different. It's not a blade. It's Asuki's so. Anyway, I'll go ahead and remove the scabbard. Ugh. It's stained with what looks like blood. This blood must be the victim's. It looks like English blood and Japanese blood, both stained the same color. Ugh. Of course I do. Sorry, but we only just arrived to London today, so the contradiction between this emotion is almost too much for me to handle. I'm well acquainted with that feeling. I suppose it's not short for Mengeldal. Yes, one lovely craftsmanship. This gold filigree must have cost him a fortune. Oh, I see. What? We'll be staring at this M. But when you see upside down, it's a W. This must be the great turnabout we really need. You say it's a W? I must know we reached the truth behind the efforts. I don't know what you're going about, but this is clearly just an M. Ah, that was short-lived fancy. Okay. I can't give up here. Just need to calm down and listen to the testimony once more. Astonished by that scream, I stopped the horse, and then what I saw it too. Mata! Pardon, but what exactly did you see? Yes, the passenger was got out of the coach's floor. Needless to say, that passenger would be the victim, the bricklayer. And then the other passenger like that knife with his hand like this. Needless to say, that passenger would be the defendant, causing Mengeldal. And with that knife, I saw him stab into the last passenger like this. Hit it, what? Oh, my lord! You're fine, might you be? I serve as the government boss of the London Coachman's Guild, so I'm able to say that a committing murder in a coach is the most unforgivable deed there is. I have to make an appropriate judgment, so I plan to continue. I have to make an appropriate judgment, so I plan to continue to observe the trial, but I heard more than enough. No one can stop a horse at full gallop. No! We can't almost... Silver Blaze leap over that pot. As a boss of the coachman's guild, I choose to believe in Bepop's word. Boss. Boss. With this, the number of guilty birds in the jury stand at 5. Madam, will you spare a moment? Yes, G. What is it? I presume you are taking an ear to the testimonies of our witnesses so far, yes? Yes, loud and clear. Why then, madam, you not announce a verdict? You see, around this time of the day, I will always be in the nearby park and hiding away. It's a daily routine. It's a small and adorable park. It's called Mengendal Park. Huh. It was donated to London to bring smiles to everyone's faces. Such a nice man would never stab someone. She is right. Mr. Mengendal has always been contributing to the good of London. Right? It's downright hard for such a man to stab someone. I mean, let's go back to Mengendal Library and read some more picture books. It would appear that much of London is still blissfully ignorant. Ignorant, that is, of Cousin Mengendal's true nature. And here he is, Baron Van Sykes' team. What do you mean by that? Cousin Mengendal, philanthropist, a celebrity with enough wealth to purchase the entirety of London. It begs the question, how did he obtain all of that wealth? To wit, he's a salary lender, or an unsavory one, even amongst the disreputable profession. What? What? Hanging out loans to the weak with outrageous interest rates, then carrying out all they own. The foundation of Cousin Mengendal's wealth is built upon none other than the mere act of usury. But I had no idea. But if you will hear me out, I'm sure you have held at least some form of suspicion. Is he really Edward's ancestor? A man with enough wealth to purchase London will without a doubt own a personal coach. If that is the case, then why would he go out on his way to ride the omnibus? What? It could be, but we just don't know yet. Because we don't know yet. Maybe we know more. Maybe we're going to know more on the sequel, which of course we're going to have to wait 4 to 6 years in order for the fan translation patch to finish. Considering how long it took to just get to case 4 for this one game. You don't mean the victim was a bricklayer in poverty, and he had incurred large amounts of debt. Needless to say, the lender was a defendant, Cousin Mengendal. Furthermore, the incident took place on the night of the loan's repayment date. Really? A poor bricklayer, deprived of his own home. He had not been a single shilling to pay with. And then, the pitiable bricklayer was finally deprived even of his own life. Done by none other than the hardest and cruel philanthropist, Cousin Mengendal. It can't be! Mata. Might I interject for a moment? Susano. You claim that the victim owed debt to Mr. Mengendal. Do you have any evidence to prove that? Please forgive my impetus in my partaking of the Holy Grail within this halls of justice. There it is, Sir Van Sykes' Holy Grail! There it is. Great. This is an unexpectedly pleasant experience. I heard that Oriental women were quite bold, but I did not think they were quite to this extent. What? The actions I take are to be expected of any legal assistant. Regrettably, however, it seems that this boldness was nothing but recklessness. This is the self-styled costume ledger of the loans which the defendant gave out. And for what I can see, the victim's name is clearly written here. That is... I submit to the court this ledger as evidence, along with I'll plead to forgive my impetus in toasting to the mysteries of the Orient. In accompaniment to their wonderful toast, I shall accept the evidence. $20 guineas, yes, this is quite a large loan, the victim is taken. Maybe this lady must hold secret some sort of English gentleman. I'm not sure if such information will be available to us. Well, it's not like we know any English gentleman. The great detective, anyway. Could it be? You will not find Sherlock's whole name in this book. That aside, let's take a closer look. Names fills the pages, each one listing yet another gentleman of London. Well, we don't really know they're gentlemen. Anyone in the Great British Empire is high-born. But what's wrong? Look right here, look at this name. Oscar Fairplay. Who is that again? I can't keep this Western name straight, but it's familiar. That's the name of the gentleman on the witness stand at this very moment. Oh, the banker, you mean? Why is his name in this book? I see. It's written here that he has an outstanding debt of 20 guineas. It looks like he's due to repay his debt very soon. It may just be a coincidence, but we should take a note of this, just in case. Well, look, this game really makes more emphasis on examining evidence. And to satisfy the repayment, Miguel took away everything he had. I guess he had me for all along. It is regrettable to say this, but that's just the kind of man he is. He was such a beautiful partner. Oh, what a horrible man. But maybe this is for the best. Please wait! Reconsider a bit more before you reach a conclusion. I will show no more mercy. Uh-oh. The final verdict has just been passed. According to this Great British Empire's Code of Law, should all the jurors return a guilty verdict, the trial will be suspended. The sentence will be then passed down by the presiding judge. Or so it's written. Sentence? In this case, the death penalty. Oh! He says there's yet more. What else? However, the defense... The juror outraged and not made his fault. What the hell? You have my sincerest respect, your prompt, just verdict, good jurors. As the Great British Empire Court of Law dictates, the trial shall end now. We shall immediately move on to the verdict. I trust there are any objections? Cesaro, please tell me just one last thing. Of course. Just now, were you about to say something? It was about the Great British Empire Code of Law. However, the defense... What comes after that? Oh. Yes, please wait a moment. Should all the jurors be explained guilty, the trial will be suspended. The verdict will be passed down by the presiding judge. However, the defense has the right to present a closing argument to the 6 jurors. Closing argument? Hey, Gary! Did I hear you say closing argument? That book of law you hold, tell me exactly which era was it written? Judging from that binding, its origin it easily dates back over 50 years ago. Such a concept is no longer recorded within the current code of law. an obsolete legal process long since culled from our practice of law. The closing argument is now nothing more than a curiosity of our long history. Oh. Cesaro, what exactly is it to begin with? This closing argument. What would be arguing for and how? Yes. Please wait a moment. I shall expect it in detail now. Asserting a right without even understanding its meaning. How very Japanese of you. Okay, see now, Naruhodo. It says we are allowed to persuade the jurors. Persuading them? Even though the jurors have already chosen verdicts? Yes, if they change the verdicts as a result. The trial must continue. It says so right here. Changing their verdicts. This could be our very last hope. It is recorded that lawyers of the past did indeed assert this right to persuade the jurors. However, somewhere along the line, it became nothing more than a formality and vanish. Why make that be, my lord? Because it was meaningless. Huh? Once passed down, a verdict cannot be overturned. In recent years, not a single attorney has asserted that sort of right. However, there is no mention whatsoever of the abolishment of such a system either. What? In other words, even if it has been forgotten, it still has not died. Huh? What would you do, Naruhodo? This closing argument is the only remaining opportunity we have. The defense asserts its rights to a closing argument. The capital of the Great British Empire, London, is said to be the heart of the modern world. Hence, this courthouse is expected to hold both the shortest and most well-executed trials. Closing arguments are most wretched by support of our country's legal system. But a right is a right, and as long as it remains law, you cannot deny me that right. The court shall accept the defense's request, and it shall now move into the closing argument. What other foolishness. Are you ready, yours? What? I wonder. It was a brain of yours, what I was giving after all. I would like you to state the basis behind your verdict. Basis? Why is the defendant guilty? State the reason for your judgment. This is so sudden. I have not heard of such a thing. I ain't cut out for that. Yes. The jurors are getting flustered. It would seem the jurors have never experienced this before. A closing argument. A defense no one has attempted before. This just might be the chance we desperately need. Now then, the court orders you 6 jurors. State your basis and reasoning behind your guilty verdicts. Judicial findings. The jury's assertion. There was no one else inside the coach, so it could have only been him. In 4 past years, an earning of 20 pence, the driver's memory is transformed. The guy's not the guy sitting next to him like this. Yes, not even I would do that. I simply came to a logical conclusion based on every statement spoken thus far. The brothers in the coachman's skill are honest. Our fee is always 4 pence. I can believe he's the man who was already on the floor. All 6 members of your boldly guilty really does put me in a difficult position. There seems to be a few vague statements they're raising at least. In any case, I'll give it a shot. All I need to do is persuade her, right? I'll do it. I'll strike with all the passion I have and turn the tables on this trial. Excuse me, but wait just a moment, if you will. According to this book, what we must do is a little different. Huh? What do you mean? He's melting their cold, icy hearts with warm, passionate words. I hate to say this, but once the Euro's minds are set, they will not lend an ear to the attorney's words. They won't. No man enjoys having his decisions wrongly criticized, after all. The more an attorney attempts to persuade them, the greater the backlash. But that's completely ridiculous. Ugh. The British law dictates the size, not I. Then what on earth do we do? According to what I've found out, the key to persuading them lies in the jurors' own words. The jurors? All jurors are chosen randomly from the citizens and called for. That is why, even though they appear to be unfit, in my opinion, they are, in fact, total strangers seated together. So you're saying that that's their weak point? Exactly. Let's listen to their statements one by one. And should there be any two statements that contradict each other, we have to show that those statements clash. The jurors contradict the statements. Oh, now that I think about it, that's not much different from the usual cross-examination. Yes, you're very right. I need to show how their contradictory statements clash against each other. I just might be able to do this. No, that's not right. I have to do this. Now then, defense, we should commence the closing argument. Move to the witness's stand and present your argument clear and precisely. Yes, my lord. Closing arguments. The defense's rebuttal. Hey, Gary! There's a clear contradiction with those two statements. A contradiction? Pray tell what it is. Me? A contradiction? What on earth are you talking about? On the name of the civil race, I swear I know nothing. It's true that according to the testimony so far, on the night of the incident, the crime scene had 4 passengers. Furthermore, according to the driver himself, the earnings were 20 pence. Correct, such brilliant at the flawless record. On the other hand, Euro 5 said the following: the omnibus fare is always 4 pence. That is just right, cheap and convenient. Why do you expect nothing less from a cab? Yet, if that's the case, a rather unnatural contradiction is born. Well, what is it? 4 pence a passengers, 4 passengers. How much would the earnings be then? Oh my! That's 16 pence. Right, the sums don't match up. 4 pence is left over. Just enough for a single passenger. A single passenger. Therefore, during that night on the omnibus, it was possible that there was one more passenger on board. What in blazes? Could something like that really? Drivers of the guild are honest men. I trusted the coaches the first foremost. 4 passengers in a mismatched sum, rather unreliable, isn't it? What was that? Guildmaster, if the trial were to end here, unfavorable rumors might spread through the streets of London. Perhaps that's the omnibus driver overlooked a suspicious passenger escape. Huh. Then how do you suggest that I continue this good-for-nothing trial? According to this book, you must send aloft the flame of innocence. Whoa! Wait just a minute, Joe. All of our wheels are finally lined up, but now because you... Oi, Beppo, show yourself! Boom! Boom! How did this happen? Pardon me, but I must do the same. Boom! What do you think you're doing? At the end of the day, humans are creatures who may laugh or weep over a single penny. A man with such vague memory on the suspect is hardly credible. What did you say? Would you like to listen to the words of the witnesses just a bit longer? We did it, not a hoodoo. If we can get just 2 more to change their verdict, then we can continue the trial. Just 2 more. Come to think of it, there was something else in what they said that bothered me. Then our next move should be to snipe at that. I need to reveal another clash between 2 claims, huh? Right. Let's do it. The vote has changed, but the scale remains steep towards guilty. Continue, defense. Resume your closing argument. That vote is not guilty for now, sir. That guy's down, the guy's sitting next to him like this. Not even I would do that. Igari! These 2 statements are in complete contradiction. What in places? The court demands an explanation. But I wasn't meaning to grab a sweater, dearie. What does that even mean? The hell's a contradiction? I saw the defendant stab the victim. That is how the witnesses from earlier testified. By the way, you're a tree. What do you want? Can't you see I'm busy? In what you would say the defendant stabbed the victim. Huh? Are you trying to test me? Like this, to the guy sitting next to him. That's pretty bad, Clark says so. Indeed, Mr. Fairplay testified to that effect. Now then, you're 6. What is it, sweetie? How exactly did the defendant stab the victim? Oh, dear me, from what I heard. I was like this, into the fallen bricklayer. That's what the driver said. Hold still like that. Please look very well upon the way you pulled our position. He stabbed the victim sitting next to him. He stabbed the victim who was already on the floor. Oh, I see now. The way the crime was carried out are entirely different. What? Unbelievable. How could these... This means that the witnesses from earlier may not have been honest in their testimonies. Huh? What and why lie? That I do not know yet. However, if the trial ends here, the truth will be forever lost in us to the darkness. Will you all truly be content with that, highly esteemed jurors? I don't want that to happen. Boom! Great scales. What the blazes? Hold it! Wait! You two, don't listen to him. This is black-clad attorney, yes, he's using some Eastern black magic. That Eastern black magic would actually be pretty useful right now. Oh, black clothes. Huh? What is it? What's so wrong about those two seeing different things? What? Consider this. First, the money lender stabbed the victim next to him. Exactly this here. And then the money lender stabbed it again when he fell on the floor. Just like this granny's doing. If you're thinking that way, doesn't everything line up? Who's calling a duck? I'll cut you. I'll cut you too for calling me a granny. The jury has gone into an uproar. But I can't help but feel that something wasn't right about the four men's words just now. Did the witnesses really see two different moments of the crime? Hmm. Oh man, this is surely getting hard, don't you think? You see it? Let me... Okay, let me get the backlog. What exactly does you seeing different things? I can't remember exactly. God damn it, why is my memory so bad? What did your one say? It doesn't line up. What the juror said, it just doesn't line up, especially with the evidence. There was just one stab wound. If he stabbed him in the back, there would be two stab wounds, and yet there's only one stab wound in the autopsy report. Seriously. But if the witnesses see different moments, let me put it's not possible. But I'm nervous in this part. My apologies for it, man. What, you black devil? What you said is undeniably impossible. Huh? But how? How could you say so confidently? I was just trying to lead everyone down to the right path of the jury's foreman. Evidence. Yes, that's it. You're my Susato. Do you have evidence? We said the witnesses saw different moments of the crime. If that's impossible, show proof. All I can do is shove it in his face. Get ready for some decisive evidence. Understood. What? I'll show you the evidence. It was impossible for the witness to see two different moments of the same crime because... Correct! There is an autopsy report in these documents right here. According to this file, the victim was stabbed only once. What? Only once? Do you understand now? If the victim was only stabbed once, there should be no discrepancy with what the witnesses saw. guess I lost this round. Dumb. Unbelievable. 4 people are voted not guilty. We did it, Naruto. We won. A small victory. What do you think you're doing? Quiet, old man. I won't stand for any stupid lies. Oh, we weren't meant to do that ever against one. I told you to put a sock in it. I want to know who's lying through their teeth. So if they ever come knocking at my shop, I can shave their heads with a silk knife. So I guess Knifey is a barber then. Thank you for that. In light of this sudden and unbelievable situation, the board of the jurors has changed as a result of this closing argument. 2 both not guilty and 4 voted. 2 both guilty and 4 both not guilty. Therefore, the court has acknowledged the misalignment of the burden and orders you to all resume the trial. Now then, defense, prosecution, witnesses, return to your proper places. From this point forward, the court expects further deliberation on the truth of this case. Now, Prosecutor Ben Sykes, please proceed to the testimony at once. Please stop serving yourself some wine. Doubt. It was my desire to enjoy the sweet fragrance of this holy grail in this halls of justice. How impotent of me to shatter it without even taking a sip. I pray for your forgiveness. It's not wine, it's grape juice. I don't know if this is really wine. It would be precise to ask the translation team. Prosecution band 6? What is it with this extremely called aura? The prosecution has remained silent throughout the closing argument. Here's the thing, in the Ace Attorney series, there has been a constant joke from the 4th game onwards. Phoenix drank grape juice from bottles that almost looked like if they were from alcoholic beverages. Many people thought that this was a change in the localization of the series. And this has been constant since the 4th game and onwards, including the spin-offs, especially the first investigation. However, it has been known that in fact, even in the Japanese versions, what Phoenix drank was actually grape juice, even in the Japanese version. This being a reference to the creator of the series, Shu Takumi, whose favorite beverage is, in fact, grape juice. That has been a constant debate between the fans, and of course, the truth of the matter is that grape juice was always grape juice, even in the Japanese version. That's why. So now we're gonna go to a further debate with this one. We have lent our ears as a token of respect to the ancient code of law, as foolish as it is. But it will appear that I have vastly overestimated the intellect of the jurors. I suppose it matters not. The more obvious a truth, the harder it is to convey its viability. This is why our court arranged this meeting, to have a chance to explain the case at length. And now, it is time to draw the curtains on the next duel. Holy crap! I request that the witnesses take a stance once again. Witnesses, I presume you have all heard the closing arguments just now. Yes. Stupid nose, be right back, I'm going to clean my nose. Watch me strip. That's funny. Yes. Of course. Oh, I heard it, sir. Witness says, as I recall, you are the coach. Witness, as I recall, you are the coachman, Beppo, correct? Yes. If during the testimony earlier you purposely kept quiet about a fit passenger at the scene, you will find yourself with a criminal charge. Do take that into consideration. Oh. The court now orders the witnesses to provide a second testimony. Namely, testimony regarding the numerous doubts that arose from the closing argument. Witness testimony. Numerous doubts. There were 4 passengers that night, truly, but it just, at the time I was a passenger, I was told the coach fee was 5 pence, you see. On top of being scammed, I was forced to see something so horrifying. There's still much to bear. Mr. Mengeldal stabbed the victim. What I saw is the unshakable truth. I don't believe he stabbed him, yes. What the heck with this means? The fifth passenger Japanese story praised on was never existed. The root of all is the mischief of that coachman here. Oi, Beppo! Yes, boss. The fee the coachman guilds all agreed upon was supposed to be 4 pence. And you pocketed that extra money, didn't you? Well, it was the last dispatch. There weren't many customers either. Not by a proper coachman conduct, it seems. Oh, I'm sorry. Beppo, you brat! Thanks to your credibility has taken a beating. But sir, I just a week before I had to pay 10 pence to ride the omnibus. Bollocks! 5 pence times 4 passengers, that makes 20 pence. I had calculated 10 times 4, but the result refused to change. Well, yes, it won't. It appears that one of our doubts has been clarified. In any case, attorney, the court orders that you begin your cross-examination. The closing arguments serve no function on a prolonged trial. I pray that you do your utmost to entertain us. Of course. Can you please stop shifting your eyes around? Mata! There were 4 passengers, but the fare you collected was not 4 pence. Is that correct? It's not like the last Saiban called waiters that's going to make any money anyway. Who as far as you go, my ordinary were halfway to dropping where we stood. That sounds really rough. Indeed, I should be congratulating myself. Man got that Bible say. I'm sure those feelings were the baby exception. Don't like you were forced to do it. There really was a fit person aboard that omnibus, right? And there should have been a case that he or she was the real killer. At that time, last year, I was told the coach fee was 5 pence. Mata! Incidentally, you collected 5 pence from everyone on board, correct? I paid 5 pence. Naturally, I paid 5 pence as well. I received 5 pence from everyone. Good grief. It would seem that this contradiction of yours was not a contradiction at all. And with that, your supposed phantom killer has vanished into the air. Thin air as well. He never even showed up in the first place, so... I'm not being scammed. I want to see something so horrifying. It's too much to bear. Mata! When you say horrifying, you must mean the murder, right? Yes, precisely. I could imagine everyone would want to see another person getting stabbed. Well, to be honest, I didn't actually see the moment it happened per se. Ah, is that so? There's another who did witness them. They said, the banker. So Lady First didn't actually see the moment, so the victim was stabbed. I wonder if there's a particular reason why he did it. I heard the sound of the banker gasping and I looked down at the skyline, but by then all I saw was a knife stabbing the victim's chest, and of course I saw the blood. Ever since then, whenever I'm having a meal I see a table knife, I can't help but shriek. Mr. Mangala stabbed the victim. That's what I saw is the unshakable crew. Mata! The defendant stabbed the victim in the seat next to him, correct? Absolutely. Haven't you been listening to me? This has been bothering me for a little while now. For a second before answering, he seemed to hesitate unnaturally. What's more, weren't the only two people sitting inside the omnibus. At present, we found nothing that indicated it were any other passenger. In that case, what's stopping you from handing on your verdict now? I got a bad feeling about Mr. Fairflake's testimony. What could it really mean? I believe that he stabbed him. Mata! Yes, now, you testified you witnessed the moment the victim was stabbed. Yes? If I recall, the victim was lying on the floor and stabbed with an underhand grip. Perhaps, mate. That's it. I think there's a misunderstanding. What are you saying now? If I recall correctly, at the time, while driving my omnibus, I heard a scream ring out of the rooftop seats. That was probably me. Then when I heard the look, yes, that's when I saw it from the skylight. The victim was on the floor and the knife was sticking out of his chest. The one holding a knife was a local celebrity over there, yes. You mean to say that you didn't see the moment the defendant stabbed the victim? Until now, I was convinced that I saw it happen, but... Well, now that I really think about it, it would be far too convenient if I actually seen the very moment of the crime. Uh-oh. Hang on! If I may, Mr. Fairplay, I can see who you are. Right now, I bet you're thinking, it would be far too convenient if we actually see the crime, aren't you? Well, be that as it may, Mr. Fairplay's getting pretty worked up. Depending on my answer, maybe you'll just squeeze some new information out of him. He just happened to catch a glimpse of the crime as it was committed. Is that plausible? He just happened to catch a glimpse of... Is it plausible? God damn it. Can be, or it could have happened. Okay, see, yes. You definitely go out a lot, lot. I'm also stumped. Yes, we're both stumped. How the hell is it that we are both stumped? I suppose that wouldn't be entirely out of the question. You never stop peeking through the skyline for even an instant, that is. Peeking? I'll have you know, I'm a banker from the big city. Why, on my honor as a banker, my memory is crystal clear. My memory is a awful thing. Will you please witness? Yes, my lord. Please add what you recall of the scenes, what you witnessed in your testimony. Oh, all right. Okay, you can count on me. I'll never forget the sight of his hands, both covered in blood after the stabbing. Yari! Both hands were covered in blood then? Well, maybe cover is a bit of an exaggeration, but... Anyway, his hands were stained with red blood, both of them clear as day. I'm sorry, but something seems fishy here. Oh man, I love that smug. And the pose he's doing on the katana. What? These are the gloves which Mr. Mengundal was wearing on that night. His gloves? These gloves do have a dark stain on them. However, as you can see, only the right glove is stained with blood. Therefore, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is nothing short of foul play. Ah! It can't be. There's no way. You're a lying young man. Huh? Yep, you made it clear as day. Mr. Fairplay, if your words were lies, then your entire testimony should be called into question. When you said that you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, was that really the truth? All men make mistakes. You can't accuse everyone of lying. Indeed, it was just one hand rather than both. Ultimately, the fact that the gloves were bloodstained is uncurable. However, Mr. Fairplay insisted that he was absolutely sure. It's possible that this witness has been deliberately lying to us, and you always have to deal with those jokes. God. I must hire a reportable bank clerk of the city before to go through this. Even though I am an upright, innocent gentleman with nothing to hide. I suppose he had no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Not who knows. You could prove that he does have a reason to lie. I believe the direction of this trial will change entirely. Do I have evidence that show he had reason to forge his testimony? My lord, what is it, attorney? The defense is ready to present evidence. Evidence? This witness has a reason to lie in his testimony regarding Mr. Mengundal. Very well. Now, I must order the defense to present their next piece of evidence. What evidence will prove that the eyewitness's testimony may have been a lie? Yeah, could I? This is Mr. Mengundal's account ledger. In other words, a list of people who suffer because of his insurance. Among the list of people who suffer is a name that should be familiar to everyone else here. Oscar Fairplay. What in the world? Witness, you borrow money from the defendant? No, I would go as far as calling it borrowing. You borrowed 20 guineas. That's quite a large sum, isn't it? These new poses. God, I'm loving these new poses. Yeah. So what's the big deal with it? If by any chance Mr. Mangodal was declared guilty, what might happen to that debt of yours? According to the argument, this was a private loan from the defendant. Therefore, if the defendant were to receive the death penalty, the contract will be annulled and Fairplay's debt will essentially vanish. Vanish? Now, Mr. Fairplay. He is indeed. Now, Mr. Fairplay. Through this false eyewitness testimony of yours, will you try to make your 20 guineas debt vanish? Yeah. Order! Oscar Fairplay. Yes? I will ask you once. Keep in mind that your answer will have tremendous importance. Did you truly witness the moment the victim was stabbed by the defendant? His silence tells all we need to know. Mr. Fairplay, you haven't told us the truth. Oh, wait, please. Certainly, I may have gone a teeny bit too far. A teeny bit? Really? However, at the very least, if there's anything I can lay with confidence that I saw blood on that criminal's hand. But remember, we only found traces of blood on one of his gloves. Yes, but... Excuse me, I may have a moment. What is it, Mr. Ladyfirst? The truth is, I have some recollection of seeing that as well. Seeing? What? The culprit's hands stained with blood. And if it really was both hands, I think. What? It appears we need to request another testimony. Testimony on what these witnesses really saw. And what they did not see. Is that agreeable? Yes. Naruhodo, the tables have been turned in this trial. Yes, you're right. This might finally be the chance for a counterattack. With this testimony, what I really saw. Oh, the cobra hands were stained with blood. I remember clearly. I swear. A largo team. But I suppose you could say that I did not see the instant the defendant stabbed the victim. I recall both the knife and the stabbed victim and the blood on the murder hands as well. I only heard the scream from the roof seats. I didn't see anything. Either way, if there were any other passengers, I think we would all seen them. Astounding. Witness says you didn't see the moment the crime was committed. I am deeply sorry, but Judge, my lord, there were no other passengers in the omnibus, and the culprit's hands were soaked in blood. Is it the same as having a scene? No, it's not the same at all. Verified it once more in the interior of the omnibus. As the testimony states, the seat is stained with blood from the moment of the crime. Hence, it can be said that the circumstances overall have not changed even the slightest. Now then, attorney, I order you to carry out the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Cross-examination. Mata! However, as it turns out, that wasn't the case after all. The defendant's own gloves prove as much. Yes, I understand that. Say what you will, but it doesn't change what I saw. Both hands were stained with blood. Even in the face of evidence, he's sticking to the story. Yet I hesitate to cast that aside a simple case of mistake in his own sight. Such a petty dispute. Whatever is one head or both is trivial. What truly important is the fact that right after the crime was committed, the accused's hands were stained with blood. But I suppose you could say that I did not see the instant defendant stab the victim. Mata! Don't try to fool the court with such vague wording. You claim that you witnessed the moment of the crime. You should know how important those words really are. However, there is just no one else could imagine being the culprit. So I just offer my opinion to save everyone else's time. You owe the defendant 20 guineas, isn't that right? Were you trying to frame the defendant so that you would avoid repaying your debt? That's not all the case. I only suffer a likely devastating loss at the Derby, nothing more. Of course, I fully intend to win it all back at the Derby this weekend and pay up. You don't say. A slightly devastating loss. I see. This guy has problems with gambling. I'm a banker. Simply borrowing a bet from the weekend is no trouble at all. This man certainly has been making quite a few questionable statements. Let us pretend for now that we were not exposed to this man's dangerous habit. You, the next witness, shall proceed with your testimony. Is it really all right to just ignore that? There was no problem. How that? He almost saw the accused's hands covered in blood. Also saw? Yes, I know what you're going to say. I'm fully aware that only one of his gloves had blood in it. Yes, that is indeed correct. But from what I can remember, when Mr. Mengodal was sitting next to the victim, I don't think he was wearing any gloves in the first place. So you're saying that at the time he wasn't wearing any gloves? Yes, I think that's why I was able to see the blood so clearly. That makes sense. When blood soaks into leather, it gets darker and harder to see. Incidentally, that night, when the accused was apprehended by an officer on the scene, in the dim lamplight, he also failed to note any traces of blood on Mr. Mengendal's gloves. So once the coach stopped, no one could tell if there were any traces of blood on his hands. Welcome back! That is indeed quite curious. There's definitely something here. I just don't know what it is yet. I only heard the scream from the roof. I didn't see anything. Hold that! You didn't see anything? Yep, yes, sir. You got it. Really, I'm really sorry about it earlier. I am. We're going as far as to say, I have seen the moment that he was stabbed. Alright, boss. Just I had my reasons for saying what I said. But you're not necessarily saying that you didn't see anything at all, correct? No, but I didn't see a thing, yeah. No, I mean, for instance, since when you were the one driving the omnibus, at the very least, you must have seen the London cityscape while driving along. No, that was stupid. Unless maybe you didn't. That night it was cold enough to knock a man right out. It's likely me being in the coachman's seat and telling you my brain nearly froze solid. One might venture to say that taking the last ride on the omnibus in the middle of winter is not the best of things. Beppo! There were any... Hold that! You both witnessed the incident from the rooftop seating area, right? Yes, indeed. The seats felt like they were nearly frozen solid. Yeah, actually, too, all while shivering from the cold. If I may ask, why were you gentlemen sitting on the roof in the first place? Yes, well, you see, we were entirely unable to enter the omnibus. We were unable to enter? Why couldn't you enter the coach? The coach was locked from the inside. We were knocked and we were let in. It was locked? That's right, the omnibus should be open to all. Whose right idea was to lock it from the inside? I had the same problem. When I went to knock, it looked like they were shooting me away from inside. So because of that, we sat on the roof and watched them through the skylight. In fact, you could even say we were glaring at them. And that's why we can both say so far with almost certainty, had there been any other person inside, we are absolutely seeing them. This fact is as clear as day. The testimony is just now, just what's going on here. So they could see everyone inside the coach through the skylight, huh? Mr. Fairplay, please confirm this for us once more. While aboard this omnibus, the both of you witnessed the incident to the skylight under the seated roof, correct? Indeed, that is correct. In that case, it seems there was a place inside the coach where you couldn't have seen the passengers. What? But that can't be. Now, at this time, I might not be able to make this claim with absolute certainty. But when the incident occurred, there was a distinct possibility that there was another person riding inside the omnibus. You can't leave your pointless speculation for the Eastern. You can leave your pointless speculation for the Eastern Court's attorney. No matter what, the burden of proof still stands on you. So, for as far as you can see, the crime scene is right over there. Very well, defense. The court demands an answer. Show us by using this cross-section of the omnibus. Show us where another passenger could have been hidden inside the omnibus. Take that! These rear seats are set up facing the same direction the omnibus moves in. As for the inside, the seats are made to face each other. So, at that time, the rooftop passenger's field of vision through the skylight was like this. Oh! That's right, as you can see, they couldn't have seen the seats that were on the opposite the culprit. Therefore, if there was another passenger in these seats, then it would have been impossible for the witness to overlook them. Ah! Objection! So you're saying that it's only possible that there was another passenger seated inside? It would seem that misdirection is but one of your country's malpractices. Indeed, evidence is absolute in the court of the Great British Empire. This also applies to your supposed mystery passenger. However, if you are prepared to name this person, then it's a different story. Naruto, can't you do it? Do I have a good idea who could it be? Do I know who was sitting in the witness's blind spot? No, but these things are distinctly stiff. If you get them side by side, they also won't be able to fit. This English woman has such elegant clothing, they would have trouble climbing up the roof. They probably were be sitting here. The Japanese kimono would be much different. Woman must have it rough. It looks like there's a handle attached to the seat here. Wait a minute, let me examine this. It's filled with tools used for omnibus maintenance. A horse pedal, a blanket used for repairing wheels and driving horseshoes. This installation is a trunk for a driver to store his equipment. I can see more space for passengers to place their belongings. Well, it would be a bit troublesome to open it close. God damn it, I'm stumped too again. It's no good, I just don't have a clue. So long as you stand here as Japanese man, there are times where you simply must press on, whatever you can think or not. Right? Well, I mean, I guess I can't really say no. Alright, I get it. Time to press onwards. The defense would like to present that person's name. How preposterous. Such is the stopgap response those who do not know what is standing. No will the weight of the obligation you have placed upon yourself. The court requests an answer from the defense. This is a chance for the counterattack I've been waiting for. On that night when the crime took place, that person that I believe was sitting in the blind spot is... The only one I can think is cause named Mengodal. Cry! The passenger that the two sitting on the roof overlooked must have been cause named Mengodal. Cause name? Mengodal? But he's the defendant himself. Gish! How impotent of me to shadow the Holy Grail in the Hall of Justice. I plead for your forgiveness. Lord Van Six! To think I will believe that your tiny overseas nation possesses what we call civilization. It appears that I overestimated you. What are you trying to say? I shall tell you, uncivilized exchange student who knows nothing of logic. At the time of the incident, the defendant was sitting next to the victim. The witnesses have testified as such. It is not the premise of the entire case. Objection! It could very well be that. The premise itself is wrong. What is this now? If we assume that Mr. Mengodal was next to the victim at the time of the incident, there's an unresolvable contradiction arises. A contradiction? These are the defendant's leather gloves. These two witnesses unstibiously testified the following. The culprit sitting next to the victim got blood stain on both of his hands. However, the truth is that there was only blood on one of the gloves. Objection! The importance being, when confronted with this evidence, their testimony did not change. Their testimonies didn't change? Yes, even now these two witnesses still claim to clearly remember blood on both hands. Therefore, that memory is a proof. That's how we must look at it. Ugh. An unknown third party was sitting next to the victim. What's more, blood must stain both of his hands. Objection! And who do you suppose this third party is? The true culprit, of course. What? The true culprit? Order! This is absolutely... Objection! The defense case is entirely baseless. The witnesses testified that they distinctly saw the defendant. Objection! However, Mr. Fairplay also said this in his testimony. Because both of them were wearing hats, I was unable to make out their faces. Right. It was impossible to see their faces from the skylight. Yes, they were both indeed wearing hats. As a hatter, I can pay much attention to people's hats. In that case, what kind of hats were the two people wearing? I suppose I happen to forget. I thought you were a hatter. In any case, it is impossible that the third party was inside the coach. And how can you assert that so confidently? If that person did happen to exist, the defendant, Costin Mengundal, should have said so himself. Or perhaps you intend to claim that. Even the defendant himself overlooked the culprit inside the coach. Back! He's right. If there was a third person inside the omnibus, it's difficult to believe that Mr. Mengundang wouldn't have known. Order! The court believes that there is a very simple way to find the answer to this question, and I presume it will be the request of testimony of Costin Mengundang himself. Yes, what is the prosecutor's opinion on the matter? Naturally, I am opposed. Your reason being? A suspect should report everything he knows to the police upon interrogation. But it's possible there was something which Mr. Mengundal didn't mention. Costin Mengundal is a league apart from those foolish small-time scoundrels. Were he have concealed any information, then he would have some reason for doing so. What is the defense opinion? Well, my lord, should I ask for Mr. Mengundal's testimony? In order to know the truth behind this murder, we need to hear what he has to say. The defense asserts that we must hear the defense's testimony. I believe we should hear what the 6 jurors have to say as well. Well, I was just in the middle of thinking about it. I would like to hear what Mr. Mengundal has to say. It ain't always we have to. Hurry up and drag that guy out here. Thinking about it logically, we must hear his testimony. When you do something, go all the way. That's the law of the guild. I'd like to hear from the man who funded such a beautiful park. That's right, we all want to hear from it. I'm very suspicious of juror number 1. I'm very suspicious of this guy. In that case, the court will request testimony from the defendant. Bailiff, bring him to the stand immediately. What really happened that night? It must become clear soon enough. Now, the trial is to resume. Defendant, have you been listening to the trial thus far? Of course, my lord. Well, we seek the answer to 2 questions. First and foremost, my stuffy nose. God damn it, I hate my stuffy nose. First, does this so-called third party in the omnibus really exist? And second, if this person doesn't say, why did you withhold all this information from the authorities? Dear me, how impressive you are. I can't hide anything from you. What is the meaning of this, witness? To tell you the truth, I've been unsure whether to mention it or not. Oh, Mr. Mangundal. Well, it's just as a good barrister said. It's true that there was another person inside the omnibus that night. There was a third passenger. And I let that passenger escape from the crime scene. But what? It's too late for such a weak excuse, Cousin Mangundal. I'm really sorry, Lord Baron von Sykes. Why did not tell the police as soon as I was arrested? Honestly speaking, my reason for this may be a bit questionable. And that reason was, I didn't want to get an innocent youth involved in this accident. Was this? If the police knew of her presence, she would surely be suspected, arrested, and maybe even brought to the court. I wanted to keep that from happening. One can't wound the hearts of youth when they have a whole future ahead of them, after all. Then, this young person you speak of, who is she? Well, I wouldn't know. You wouldn't know? After all, I met her by chance at the omnibus that night. Objection! There's not a single reason for us to trust this man's fairy tales. The prosecutor asserts that the defendant's remarks are not worth listening to. Perhaps that young lady is, even now, watching over my trial from the audience of this courtroom. Huh? Bang! Smoke! Fire! There's a fire! Someone's running away. Go after them. It's all good. I can't see with all this smoke. But what is going on? Naruto, we're in danger. Get close to the ground. Bailiffs, don't let the defendant escape. Secure the omnibus. The court declares an emergency recess. The bailiffs will capture the defendant and assist in evacuating the courtroom. We were forced out of the courtroom by the bailiffs. Everyone wanted to get out first, and it descended into mayhem. As they tried to figure out what was going on, the trial was momentarily suspended. Well, yes. That was unexpected. Yeah, me neither. And we still haven't finished yet. We're still continuing on this trial. And I'm looking at the time. I don't know. God damn it, I hate when I have to go to work. I'm definitely going to have to end it here for now. Tomorrow I'll definitely continue on. It's just that if I could have started earlier, but I had to go out. Tomorrow I'll continue this, and I want to try streaming early. I don't know, let's see what time. I'm going to try to stream at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Mountain time, daylight saving. Does that sound good? That sounds good at the time. 6 daylight saving, 6 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Mountain time. 4 Pacific, 5 Mountain. So I'm definitely going to end it here. Thank you for joining us, and goddammit, what did you expect of this? What are your thoughts of all of this? Because goddammit, I'm liking this game so far. I really am liking it a lot. But yeah, see you later.